The Seiko 5 Rowing Blazers. This is a watch that I originally got and it did not work for whatever reason, and now it works, and so I wanted to review it. Welcome to our swap. My name is Harrison. Today we're talking through this and Seiko's limited edition Fever. The Rowing Blazers is supposed to be like a preppy, fun-looking style, and so it's got this cool little, colorful texture to the actual NATO strap, and it's got these colorful different indices, and it's got a candy cane, seconds hand, and so it's got these little playful elements that are kind of fun and kind of fresh. They work in this watch. They all kind of mesh together, especially with this NATO strap. On the bracelet, I felt like it was still pretty boring. It still seemed really bland. It had these colorful indices, but they weren't enough. It wasn't very loud, and so as soon as I put it on this NATO strap, then it all kind of made sense. Then I saw the playfulness, I saw where it was supposed to be, I saw it as a summer watch, and all that kind of made sense to me. But the issue is that it's still a little too big. Now, I hear this on most of the other watch YouTubers. Most people like small watches, and I do. I like them for preference. It's not even that my wrist is that small. It's 6 3/4 inch wrist. This 36mm watch does feel small sometimes on me, but then I get used to it, and then I switch back to a 40 or a 42, and then those feel normal, and so it's kind of a preference thing. The one thing I will say is what I like is not necessarily the size of the watch, but the size of the dial. So this Rowing Blazers, or these Seiko 5 models in general in 40mm, the dial just seems big. And so it calls a lot of attention to itself. And the case diameter wears nice, the lug-to-lug wears nice, but this is one of those elements of actually wearing the watch and feeling it and having it in hand that you start to notice these things. I think I like smaller watches because I like the way the dial looks. So when a watch has a bezel, that dial is still small, and then it just has the bezel on top of it. When you take a 40mm watch and you get rid of a large external bezel and you just have this, smooth bezel on the outside, the dial is big and it commands a lot of presence. And it reminds me, I used to own an Orient Bambino a long time ago, and it just feels a little oversized. And it's not really like a oversized for my wrist thing, it's just like a proportional dial thing. I just prefer a smaller dial. So that's my one gripe about the watch. Everything after that is generally positive, other than also the fact that the watch did not work. When I first received it and I opened it up, I wound it. I do know how to wind a watch. I should hope so after this long that I know how to wind a watch. So I wound it, I looked at it, I was checking it out and seeing what it looked like, and then I realized the seconds hand was not moving, and I did not know why. I already had a bad experience with the Tudor Black Bay Pro, and I was hoping that, lightning didn't strike twice and I didn't have a dud. And in this case, I actually contacted Rowing Blazers and said, look, I think I'm gonna need to return this. I didn't really want to wait for them to fix it in order to do a review. So I said, I'll just send it back to you, and someone else that's looking to get it on your wait list, they can get it. And then one day I picked it up and suddenly it was working. I had already shaken it before, so it wasn't that. I don't know what it was. Either way, it started working. And so then I felt like, okay, let me wear it for a little while. Let me experience it. Let me see what my thoughts are. If you guys could do me a favor and subscribe, it really helps. It makes it a lot easier for me to look for something like this. Most of the watches like this one I'm personally paying for in order to review them on the channel. Eventually I'd like to have them come in for me to talk about at a lot less money, or me to go somewhere and be able to use them there, so that way I don't have some sort of requirement to be nice. So let's talk also briefly, just real quick, about the positives. Obviously, you've already seen the specifications about the watch. The main positive here is the playfulness. You take the same Seiko 5 40mm design that most people are really liking or raving about, and you add to it a little touch of something different. You add to it something that kind of makes you a little different than the same guy down the street that has a Seiko 5 as well. And that's what I think I like about this. The other ones that are colorful, I feel like are just another colorful dial. This has been the year of colorful dials, and so those kind of seemed standard to me because they were just colorful dials. But this one, because each indice has like a nice little splash of color, it just felt different in my mind, I guess. And I'm also a sucker for black dials, so either way, if you're someone that's looking at a 40mm watch and you wanted to have the Seiko 5 in 40mm, but you wanted something a little different, this is perfect for that. I mean, this is exactly what you're after. Now, they're probably going to come out with another limited edition of some other type in the future, and so you can always pick that up if you can't get one of these on a non-inflated price. But if you're looking for that, this is a nice touch. It's got this RB signed on the crown. It's got this nice little skeleton on the back of the crystal. Obviously you can see the movement. And so it's generally just a fun watch. Now, I added this in my watch collection video because there was a time when I started wearing it that I thought this is perfect. You know, on my summers, I can wear it and I'll have something that's a little bit more fun and flavorful, but it's just not gonna fit. That dial size is just not right for me. And so in the end, this is gonna go. But my points are that if this is the watch that you've really talked about or seen or liked, you should get it. Now, should you get it at the new inflated prices? I would say no, because these limited editions fade. People forget about them, especially with Seiko and how many that they do. Eventually, people are gonna move on from the limited edition that came out 2 years ago. And then if this is the watch you really want, just wait. And then pick it up in a couple of years when the prices drop on those limited edition watches. Because people just, like I say, they just forget about them. So that's what I would say. If you're after this and you don't want to pay the inflated price, buy it there. I don't even know what the price is nowadays. It might be generally about the same as retail. I know it is for the colorful dials, but I don't know about this. I will say also that the older versions, I think I still like more. And it makes me now want to pick one of those up because I think it would be more of what I'm suited for, but we'll see. Time will tell. So that's it. It's not a huge in-depth review because I've kind of worn it. I've kind of had a few thoughts and I wanted to say generally how I feel about it. But the main thing is that this is a great and well-designed watch. It just takes that preference for slightly larger dials to make it the perfect watch. And I don't have that preference, so it won't be staying. Let me know down below how you feel about this and Seiko's limited editions in general, and if you have a favorite one. I think Dragon Ball Z is probably my favorite. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.